Well, ultimately my main goal for this show would be to create a documentary series that brings the microscope in on specific areas of community that are revitalizing the traditional arts and recovering some of our lost practices. Directions that I want to take it in is to be able to look at not only what's happening on the land with the artists, but also in historical context, like what can we recreate that we've never been able to do before, or what can we start to build in a way that is expressive to what is happening today, but also brings about the continued time-honored knowledge of simple, practical things like making a basket and then utilizing it in our real everyday lives instead of allowing our implements to become artifacts and then becoming museum keepers ourselves. I had a manic episode that landed me in the hospital because I hit a house. I had passed out at the wheel from a panic attack, and I didn't want to do that again. So when I started to feel this anxiety coming, I went outside and I went into my shed, and I'm like, what is in here? I need to physicalize this. I know I need to put this back into my hands. And then I saw these poles that were actually used for a set. They weren't used for any kind of a house at all. It was for an artistic, a theater set. I pulled them out and I brought them out into the yard, and then I just started working with them. And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, I'm building a house. I'm building my own house. I'm creating my own isolation lodge. I'm giving myself my own security. I'm giving myself these things. But it's not real though, because I don't actually have the toolies. I don't have the mats. I don't have all the appropriate pieces. However, being an artist, I can imagine. And so I did that. I just imagined what would it be like if I was able to put these poles together and then tie them together so that they were semi-secure, and then just lay in it and feel what does it feel like just to be in this framework, just the framework itself. And that calmed me down in such an incredible way. I was just able to lay there in my play. I'm manic depressive. I'm crying my eyeballs out, but I'm playing. It's a different kind of play. And I grabbed some costumes. We have this big turtle costume that Barb had made, and I put it on the floor on the grass, and I just laid in it. And I started to dream about Chaptik, animal stories, how turtle freed the people, how eagle became more respected when eagle became nice, how when we believe in our dreams and we believe in the meanings that come to us, that we can help everybody, and that we have capacity to teach someone how to use their power in a good way. And that all came from this isolation lodge. The importance of our women being able to have access to these isolation lodges, or menstruational huts, as some have called them, is that it gave a woman not only time to, have a natural cycle that, she had to tend to every single day, making sure that she dealt with the blood appropriately in the ceremonies to honor what is coming from our bodies as potential life givers. It was important for us to learn how to perfect our skills with basketry. We had opportunity to learn how to do these things and to be really good at it. And in the isolation lodge, the women focused on making these things and focused on making them to provide the best possible future for their families. So I look at my life now and I think, well, what have I done? What are the mistakes that I've made? Or were they mistakes? Because I got married. I tried it out once. And this is my actual wedding dress. But what I started to think about through my research, trying to find identity and understand self, every time I get into clothing, I'm embodying a totally different version of myself. And which of these versions are the best version? So our dreams of being happy and having a beautiful family and a white picket fence in a neighborhood that's really nice starts with a dress like this. And you can see there's a lot of mud and dirt, and it's not as clean as it should be, but from a distance you can't even tell that it's dirty. It looks like it's the very beautiful dress. But for me, it's not dirty at all. It's actually clean, because what I've done is a ceremony with the cleansing clay of the Okanagan Lake. And I reclaimed this dress as my own. She wasn't something that was manufactured and then put on a shelf and then abandoned in a box on a sale. Because that's how I found her. She was a $500 dress in a box on a sale. I've done a few different photo shoots in this dress on the land in a canoe, the Sturgeon Nose Canoe. It was a time-traveling device. It not only helped me cross the river, but it helped me cross over into time where I could hear the village through my own voice. I could hear the sounds, and I could experience that even in a contemporary context. So I imagine where we can go in these time-traveling devices. Where I see this concept growing, and where it's always been growing, is in the people that I meet, the artists that I come across who share not only my outlook, but they also have their own connections that open up a totally different new constellation of understanding. Artists like Dr. Shawn Brigman, who builds contemporary versions of these things for us to see. That despite the fact that our trees aren't big enough to make full-size bark canoes anymore, or very few of them now, like we have to go looking very, very specifically, that we have capacity to continue doing all of the things that are important to our people every day if we are given the opportunity to reimagine a new future, a new reality. By physicalizing the reminders, by allowing the people to hear the stories of the past and how they relate to today, and how everything always relates to the future, that there is no separating, and that it's okay to turn around and look to the past. How would if we talk about what was here already? And then let's show that. And then, like with the Tule Mat Lodges, well, there was a Tule Mat Lodge right there, so let's rebuild that and see what it feels like to be inside of it. How about if we put some context into this? How about if we speak about what the story is associated with the jumping over place, and then let's enhance it with an oral chaptique and tell the story of the twins and how the separation of the continents actually happened at this jumping over place. If you know to listen to them without thinking that they're fantasy or myth, if you know to listen to them to be fact, you start to pick out similarities in everybody else's stories. Build up the history instead of just leaving it as this token. Where I want to go with this is to collect the stories from different people, different artists, different elders, by being able to meet with different artists for an episode, and to speak to not only the oral story surrounding a practice or a site or an implement or a specific person. Those stories connect us back to the isolation lodge, or it connects us, the men, to their practices that were happening while the women were in the isolation lodge. By having an opportunity to speak to the oral story, match it with a history, like the dresses, the play, the different types of play, the way that the minerals have been turned into tokens, the way that our implements have been traded in industry for matchsticks or any other kind of thing to reduce our capacity to hang on to these things. I want to be able to show the younger generation that not only is play necessary to our overall enjoyment of life, but it's necessary to our health, because we feel good when we play, and we feel good when we play with our own things. And to be able to play in a high dress and to imagine our worlds again, what are our young people going to be able to start thinking, and how are they going to be able to get us out of this box?